The 1960s were a time of enormous civil unrest. Demonstrations, face-offs, and riots characterized the political climate as the nation coiled in tension. In California, a man named Cesar Chavez led a strike of migrant farm workers demanding higher wages and better working conditions. The strike was part of the civil rights movement that addressed the needs of farm workers. It was a turning point in America's history. He envisioned equality and social change, not just for farm workers, but for all people. A leader of people who didn't have a voice. He would grow to become one of the most respected civil rights leaders of the 20th century.
The United Farmworkers Union is the only successful union ever established to defend the rights of those who grow and harvest the crops. Cesar Chavez and a small group of followers traveled up and down California valleys where they grew crops. Chavez and his followers invited farm workers to join their new organization by talking to them and holding house meetings. The process was slow but effective.
The famous boycott on grapes demanded justice without a doubt. Farm workers began a national boycott of all the table grapes. Striking farm workers spread out across the country to try and stop the selling of grapes. More than 14 million Americans helped by not buying grapes, only the ones with the United Farm Workers stamp. The Delano growers were not making money, so they finally gave in and signed historical contracts. Some of the things the farm workers won was protection from the dangerous pesticides, a raise in wages, and fresh water. The signing of the grapes contract was a major victory for the farm workers.
One of the most memorable strikes was the March to Sacramento. Chavez led a 300-mile pilgrimage from Delano to the California state capitol. A banner with the image of the Virgen de Guadalupe led the way. The number of people in the march began small. Later on, the number began to increase as more people joined the march. They arrived in Sacramento on Easter Sunday and met in Our Lady of Guadalupe Church.
In order to revive the movement, Cesar Chavez put his own body on the line. Chavez began a hunger strike inspired by Gandhi's nonviolent protests. Unfortunately, Chavez became very sick because of the lack of nutrition. Many farm workers were inspired and participated. The hunger strike became known on the news, and Robert Kennedy celebrated the end of the hunger strike with Cesar Chavez. The United Farm Workers became a significant force on the national politics.